Let us now listen to these words from the book Rays of the One Light by Swami Kriyananda. Week 13, Deeds versus Intentions. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. Jesus Christ emphasized repeatedly the spirit, not the letter of the law. In chapter 5 of the Gospel of St. Matthew, he speaks of the sin of killing and of the legal punishment attendant on that sin, but says that more important than the act is the desire to kill or to do harm. He shows that the sin of harmful desire goes beyond merely wanting to kill. My message to you, he said, is this: whoever is angry with his brother without cause already stands condemned. Whoever contemptuously calls his brother a fool shall answer for it to the Supreme Council, and whoever calls his brother an outcast of God shall be in danger of hellfire. Brother here means any other human being, for all of us in the highest sense are brothers and sisters, children of our one Father, Mother, God. The true self of one is the self of all. To hurt another is, even if one doesn't realize it, to hurt oneself. Swami Kriyananda in the Path recalls an episode in which the Master, Paramhansa Yogananda, revealed his sense of identity even with the plants. One day, Kriyananda wrote, "We were moving a delicate but rather heavy tropical plant into position on the hillside. Our handling evidently was too rough, for Master cried out, 'Be careful, what are you doing? Can't you feel it's alive?' To wish death to anyone, to wish even harm to another creature, is to deny in oneself the reality of that divine life of which all of us are manifestations. It is, in short, to deny the eternal truth, proclaimed by the Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter. This self is never born, nor does it perish. Once existing, it cannot ever cease to be. It is birthless, eternal, changeless, ever itself. It is not slain when the body is slain. Thus, through Holy Scriptures, God has spoken to mankind." Om.
So, good evening, friends. Jai Guru. So, today's topic is deed versus intention. So, what is the meaning of this topic is deed means action and intention means what is the thoughts behind that action. So, if the thoughts are very important, because Master has written, thoughts are things. Thoughts are the very best part of the consciousness. If the thoughts are correct, thoughts are right, then the actions will always be right. But more than this, your will or your thoughts should be attuned to God and Guru. So according to that, your actions will come. So the another thing that Swamiji is talking in this chapter is more than the desire, for more than the act, it is the desire to kill which is more important. So how to understand this? So to understand this, I just want to tell two small stories from Guruji's life when he was just staying with Master, from Autobiography of a Yogi. This years in my Master's hermitage. So what happened when Master was getting time, he was going and staying there in the ashram in the Sirampur with Swami Yukteswarji. But there were a lot of mosquitoes. And Yukteswarji was not much affected, but Master was bitten from head to toe. And Yukteswarji was, of course, he was seeing all this. So after seeing all this, one day he told Master, "Okay, go and get mosquito curtains for you and get one for me also. Because if they are not biting you, they will bite me. They will concentrate on me more." So Master was very happy. So he went, he bought 2 sets of curtains. So every day Swami Yukteswarji was telling him to arrange the curtains. So he was arranging the curtains and the problem was almost solved. But what happened one day, the Yukteswarji just forgot to give him the instructions. So the disciple will go by his guru's instructions. So the master was just seeing ki now the Yukteswarji will give him the instructions. Now he will give, but he was busy meditating because he used to meditate for long hours in the night. And master was very lucky to sleep by his side. So he was coughing, taking his attention. What? Nothing was happening. And there was lot of mosquito noise. They were droning like here and there, biting him all around. So what happened? Then he came near master. So what is going on? What master is? Why he is in not just listening to my this thing? I'm coughing also. So what he sees that master was in yogic trance. He was cold. He was motionless. So again he was more frightened. Guruji was more frightened. That master means Swami Yukteswarji. So what Swami Yukteswarji? I think he is not living anymore. So he was pinching his nose, his mouth, and in the final moment, Yukteswarji just started laughing. You are budding experimentalist. So what are you doing? The whole world is not going to change for you. Change yourself. Get rid of mosquito consciousness. So now Guruji understand, or Paramahansa Yogananda ji understood that master was not, or Swami Yukteswarji was not afraid from mosquitoes. He was having such a spiritual power that he can control mosquito mind, either not to bite him, or even if mosquitoes are biting him also, it doesn't affect him anymore. He is above all the sense pleasures, whatever is happening in this material world. He is always with God. He is doing his duties in the worldly ashram, whatever is there, but he is always in the universal consciousness. He is always with the God. So the second story is just continuation of this. One day the Yukteswarji was sitting in the dusk time in the ashram, and he was just explaining some ancient scriptures. And again the one mosquito came, and he was just going to bite the Guruji's or Paramahansa Yoganandaji's thigh with a poisonous hypodermic needle. So Yoganandaji was, again he was just raising his hand to kill the mosquito. And Yukteswarji was seeing all this. And so what happened? Suddenly the Paramahansa Yoganandaji thought, okay, I should not kill, because this is not what Patanjali Yoga is saying. Or I should just practice ahimsa. So then he was raised his hand and he just didn't kill the mosquito. So Yukteswarji told him, why did not you finish the job? Then he said, no, master, don't you guide me to practice ahimsa? Ahimsa, so he said, no, but there is always, the thought is there. The desire is there to kill the mosquito. So first get rid of that desire. That is very, very important. The master was further curious. He asked, if the wild beast is there, I should not kill the wild beast? Is he just about to kill me? Then again Yukteswarji answered, no, the human form is very, very precious. There is brain, there is fully developed spinal centers. So it is okay. You will get minimal bad karma if you are killing but it's very important to protect yourself. So these are the two stories regarding this, where we understand. So what is the action and what is the intention behind that action? So this is very, very important. So now further Swamiji tells in this chapter ki never judge anyone. Never think that anybody is fool and I am very smart. So someday another smart person will be there, and then your ego will be crushed. So you will think, oh, this person is more smart than me. So another thing he is explaining is always help people. If somebody is coming to you, I just want to realize God, or you can guide me. Patients come to me in my clinic and they ask me, Madam, a lot of patients come to me and who want to ask me that, Madam, how to spiritualize this problem or how to spiritualize this disease. If they are willing, then only. So I always guide them. I just gift them autobiography yogi sometimes. I feel that consciousness is there, or I guide them for the Guruji's teachings. So it is very, very important. Anyway, give them the book, guide them for the Guruji's teaching, teach meditation. So what is the way you can help them or you can teach them? The another important thing is love plants as a conscious human, not human but conscious living forms. Talk to them. So they will just respond. You can feel their response in your consciousness. I sometimes do that. So when I'm walking in my balcony in the night, sometimes I talk to them, I touch them with my hand as I touch my two daughters. So they are just like little kids for me. So another things are, if the see our soul is birthless, deathless, changeless. So that Swamiji has beautifully explained. But how to understand this? Behind this physical body, so there is a astral body and the causal body. So when the physical form is gone, there is always the energy body, you can say that, which is left. But one thing is that we never realize that energy body. So how to expand our consciousness to realize that energy body is there? So this is very, very important. So when we meditate, we feel very strong aura of light, peace, love, kindness, forgiveness. So meditation is the key to this. Then doing Kriya Yoga daily and serving Master, doing affirmations. So practicing your vows, discipleship vows, Kriya vows. So all these things are very, very important. So in the end, I just want to read one phrase from Whispers from Eternity. You can just close your eyes. You can listen to this. So the Master has written about open my inner eye. Open my inner eye, O fountain of light, that I may behold thee in the dance of the myriad hued atoms. Burst open the doors of space, that I may see thee behind the swirling mists of material illusion. Behind thy walls of brilliant cosmic rays, thou art hiding. Open every portal in nature, that I may see thee everywhere. See, we are already one in the light, all the human forms, plants, material objects, then this earth itself, stars, galaxies, are everything is nothing but they are just metamorphosing into one light. If we expand our consciousness, we are able to feel, then we are able to see that light in everyone, that we are one and we are all made of, we are children of one God, mother, father, and we are just one light that Master has explained beautifully in Samadhi. So try your best, friends, to expand your aura, and then your all deeds and intentions will be as per the God's and Guru's will. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, Mansiji. That is the subject which Pradnya has read for this evening. The satsang is that deeds versus intention, as Mansiji was sharing with us, that how the desire of harming anyone is actually more important than the actual harm done. That is what Swami is highlighting here. To hurt another is to hurt oneself. This and think everybody knows about it because we have read these things again and again. But the question arises, why do we want to hurt other person? Or let us say, even if we do not want to, why does it happen that sometimes even not consciously, or let us say not with any particular intention, we just happen to hurt others? And the reason is that that we feel that the other person, or just when we say the word other, we consider that he is not me. Just like we say that, okay, of course this microphone is not me, or the other person is not me. And because of this otherness, this whole conflict in our consciousness can happen, that, okay, this is what I have to preserve, this is me, this is because I am just limited to this body, and the other person is limited to his body. And that is a reason when the territories they clash, or let us say our desires, they actually clash, our intentions, they clash, and then we happen to hurt another person. And what is the remedy? In fact, what Mansiji was also saying, that again and again masters are emphasizing, that unless we realize that there is just one self, which is the self of all, this whole conflict will remain, because and we will continue to maybe hurt others, even knowingly or unknowingly. So what is the key here? How can we realize that self? Swami often used to give this example, that let us imagine that you are on a sheet of ice, and how will you, but just like when in the winters the oceans, they freeze, and but underneath the frozen ice, the ocean is still water. But then how do you access that water? So he said, you all you have to do is just keep drilling at one point. So if you keep drilling at one point, you will soon reach the depth of whatever maybe the thickness of the crust of the ice. You will still be able to penetrate and find the water underneath. And the moment you find the water underneath, you realize that it is the same water which is actually flowing everywhere. Because on the surface, the ice was looking different, it was looking solid, but underneath it is the same water. And in the affirmation also, Swami is saying that let us not identify with the ripples on the surface. I am the deep ocean. This is what I have to understand. And then in the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says that there are three ways to look at the outer events in our lives. One is that all these events and people and happenings they have no connection with one another. They are all disconnected. Or let us say they are all diverse. Or one way, or the other thing is that they are all connected with the underlying light. Just like, on the motion, in the motion picture, when the light from the projector booth is the same, but the same light is creating mountains, rivers, people, animals. And then Krishna explains that if you understand that there is only one spirit, there is only one light, which is manifesting everything, that is a sattvic way of looking at things. But if you see everything as different, as diverse, and people with different intentions working in this field, then it becomes a rajasic way of looking at things. And if we feel that there is no connection between one thing and the other, and there is no cause and effect relationship, he says that is a tamasic way of looking at things. Now, this is a way of, gradual understanding, that how we can, understand that we are one with the light. Often Yogananda used to give this example, that consider the more you will come on to this point between the eyebrows, you will be able to commune with that light, because the light of the booth from where God is creating all this dream drama is actually can be contacted at this point. At one point, there was this guy, he said, Master, is there any other way apart from Kriya Yoga to reach infinity? He said, yes. He said, a sure and swift way to reach infinity is to keep your attention on the Christ consciousness at the point between the eyebrows. So he didn't say that there is no other method apart from Kriya Yoga, which is interesting, because first of all, this guy was very inquisitive. He wanted to know some other method also apart from Kriya Yoga, as if Kriya Yoga is not good enough. But then that is how, Master, as he himself was, he was a practical man. Okay, if this is not working, we all know that story where this guy was not comfortable with the image of the master, and he said, okay, if you are not comfortable, he somehow arranged a book which actually was without cover, Autobiography of a Yogi. We know that story, and how this man fell in love with the book, and later on he realized that it was the same book which he actually discarded or didn't give any attention, just because he was not liking the picture of on the cover. So here, I just want to share one interesting thing from modern neuroscience also, because there is one school of thought, people, those who are battling, let us say, a lot of anxiety, panic attacks, and depression. What up to this point, in the modern psychiatry and in psychology as well, as there are many ways of treating those people. We sometimes take the help of drugs, which actually can change the chemical balance inside our brain, because certain neurotransmitters are responsible for certain type of thoughts which become recurring in our mind. And to some extent those drugs are helpful, but then they have their own disadvantages also. Then comes behavior therapy, what we call CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, and so many other things. But a very interesting thing which is coming recently is when we use minute or very mild electrical currents to stimulate this part of the brain. Sometimes we call it transcranial current, or sometimes transcranial magnetic stimulation, or a direct current stimulation. There even sometimes we are using ultrasound waves. These are sound waves. They also have energy, something known as LIFU. It's an abbreviation for low energy, low intensity focused ultrasound, LIFU. So this is what they are doing in these, these are still experimental, and they have got good results with this. So what they do is that they try to give non-invasively, without putting anything inside the brain. They put very gentle electrical currents and try to stimulate this part of the brain. And what they found was, because this is the prefrontal lobe, it has a connection with our limbic system also, and there is a part in our brain called amygdala, from where all these fears and anxieties, they keep coming, or they become recurrent in our mind. Now, it has a reciprocal relationship. So if you stimulate this part of the brain, amygdala naturally shuts down, and that person doesn't have as many thoughts, anxiety thoughts, or as many panic attacks. Just because you are stimulating this part of the brain, it automatically settles down. Now this is amazing, but the only limitation which scientists are facing here is, because they are applying currents on the surface of the scalp, a very little current is able to go inside the cortex. So it has very minimal benefit. Now here lies the importance of yoga. Because what we do in yogic sciences, because a yogi works inside out, so when we put our concentration, when Yogananda is saying, keep your attention on the Christ consciousness at the point between the eyebrows, what are we doing? With the tool of attention, with the tool of concentration that God has given us, we are actually focusing all our energy and life force at the point between the eyebrows where lies the prefrontal cortex. And this is not coming from outside in, but actually it is coming from inside out. And that is a reason why it becomes more effective. And if we keep on doing that, Master said this is a doorway to infinity. And if we want to go into that ocean, as we were talking in the affirmation also, I am the deep ocean, or when we were chanting, I am a bubble, make me the sea. How can we make ourselves that sea? And this is a very important tool that Yogananda has given us, that this is a sure and swift way, he's saying. First of all, he says sure, there is no doubt about it. And then he says it's a swift way. I mean, on to Kriya Yoga, he said it's an airplane route to God. And to this, he says it's a swift way. And if we keep our attention, and now modern science is also giving us evidence. Sometime Yogananda also mentioned that in the times to come, energy will be used as a healing tool. And this is exactly what is happening, whether it is transcranial magnetic stimulation or direct current stimulation. Now, it's a very important thing, when they train the soldiers. Recently, I happened to watch a movie which was about a secret agent. And when they train the soldiers, sometimes these spy agents or secret agents are actually even they are actually kind of more courageous even than a routine soldier, because they have to live in an enemy territory throughout their life, sometimes in a hostile environment, and still they have to maintain their calmness, composure, and do their task. And in their training, actually, they teach them meditation also, and they teach them breathing techniques, and they also teach them that the more breath control they have, the more mind control they will be able to develop. So this is amazing. And I want to just conclude with a very interesting story which happened during the lifetime of Yogananda. And there was this Hollywood actor who actually came to Master, and he wanted to take Kriya. So he said, "Sir, I have come from a very long distance and I have heard about you, and I want to take Kriya." He said, "Okay, yes, you can take." But he said, "Sir, I have a problem." And said, "Okay, tell me, what is the problem?" He said, "Sir, I also, I actually smoke. So I don't know whether this is this will help. Still, I am eligible for Kriya." Master said, "No, no, don't worry about that. You can take." And but then again he said, "Sir, I have another problem actually. And part I take drink also at times." Master said, don't worry. You can take. You can continue with it." And then he said, "Sir, I have another little problem." So he said, "Sir, I happen to enjoy the company of women also." His master said, "No, no, don't worry. You come, take Kriya." Now this guy was kind of very surprised. He said, "Sir, I am not able to understand. I have come a long way and I am telling you all these things, and still you are telling me you can take Kriya?" Master then very calmly said, "I haven't yet finished." He said, "There is no guarantee that when you will practice what I am going to teach you, that you will still have the desire left for these things." Now, that is an amazing thing, because why was he so confident about his teachings and his practical tools? Because he knew that if you will practice them sincerely, your desires will vanish for such, superficial pleasures, let us say. So coming back again to the same topic where we started, the desire to kill, or let us say desire to harm, it may happen in our mind. It does happen sometimes. We get angry because of sometimes genuine reasons or sometimes not so genuine reasons. It may not be a kill exactly, but sometimes it can be like killing with words, or by our intentions. So how can that change rather than going into the guilt at that time? Master here is saying us that practice what I'm giving you and your desires will change. You will not be able to. At one time he said you will be so transformed that you will not be able to recognize yourself, because in that light you will get transformed. So the key here is that at one time Yogananda said that we are like a charcoal, and charcoal is nothing but a black, everything is black. I think there's nothing as black as a charcoal. But he said, when the fire enters, the fire of God, he said the charcoal becomes red and it becomes amber colored, or it starts glowing. The same charcoal, but when the light of God enters, it even changes its color and its property. And the same thing, God here in one of the chapters, previous chapters also, Master has written that many times we bewail about imperfections. "Oh, I am so imperfect, I can't do these things." He was Master, he can do so many things. But what Swami has written there is that to know God is to live in godly consciousness, rather to bewail your imperfections and your distance from God. Which is to say that don't even allow that thought to come or reside in your mind that, "Oh, I can't do it. I'm so imperfect." He said it is absurd to understand or to have this understanding that you need to be perfect to find God. If you are perfect, then how can you, practice those? There is no need to practice the teachings then. Yes, we are imperfect to some extent, to varying degrees. Yes, we have some imperfections. But then he says, without bewailing about those imperfections, without bewailing about the distance from God, practice the presence of God, practice the godly consciousness. And that is why we pray, "Okay, Master, please help me to receive your light. Help me to receive your consciousness, and that will be able to transform me." There was one master, he used to teach, I think he was a Zen master, who used to teach his disciples like that. Let us say if we have a muddy water in a katora or in a pan, and you want to purify it. So how do you do that? If you don't want to, just remove everything and pour a fresh water, what you can do is keep pouring fresh water into it. Continue to pour more and more fresh water into it. A time will come when there will not be any muddy water left in it. It will be all pure. So let us do this exercise, friends. Now we will come one by one. We'll do the arti. After that, we'll come one by one. We'll just offer ourselves at the feet of the masters. We'll pray mentally that please allow your light to pass through me so that I can also get transformed. And if you feel inspired, you can come to one of us for the touch of blessings. I'll request Bhavni ji for playing a chant.